I reached out to Reza, actually just on a paper that I was working on in a religion class that I had. And we started talking, and he actually had a similar idea of doing a book on Maine immigrants. So we decided to join together on this project, and that's how Dear Maine came about.
Even though he was still in college when he started working on Dear Maine, Morgan Riley already had one published work to his credit, a book on World War II veterans whom he'd interviewed as a teenager in Westbrook. And yes, he appeared on 207 in 2014 to talk about that book.
Reza, obviously you have familiarity with a lot of people in various immigrant communities in Maine, but you still have to come up with a group of people whose stories you want to tell. How did you choose the people who ended up being in the book?
I think that was the hardest task, Rob. Morgan and I spent a lot of time discussing different persons and individuals whose story we felt strongly about. And finally, that's what we came up with. And for the sake of disclosure, we know that there were other stories that should have been included, but this book could have easily been a 500 pages or 2,000 pages book.
Let's talk about some of the people whom you profile in the book. Let's begin with the young woman who's on the cover, Reza. Sophia Khalid. She came from Somalia, spent nearly 4 years in a refugee camp before coming to the United States, and then eventually coming to Lewiston, Maine. What was it about her story that you found compelling?
Well, as you read the story, you realize that she could have been the poster child for a displaced person. She almost died a couple of times. And then she comes to Maine, and now she's a political giant. She's an activist. She was the youngest person ever elected to city council. And since then, she's left the city council. But so these are really the stories. And you're absolutely right that some of the stories are heartbreaking. But at the same time, there's so much hope. I would argue, rather than looking at them as victims, they can inspire all of us, immigrants and non-immigrants.
Morgan, let me ask you about one of the people you profiled, Mohammed Al-Kanani, who originally came from Iraq, ended up in Westbrook. He became passionate about boxing. What was it about his story that attracted you?
I knew Mohammed from high school. We played on the same soccer team together. He's my age. He's lived this incredible life, boxing in Baghdad, surviving death threats from Jaish al-Mahdi and Al-Qaeda, and coming here to the United States and working his way up in mixed martial arts and as a boxer. He's a true inspiration.
Reza, there's a wonderful line that you have in the introduction to the book where you guys write, think of this book as a dinner party. We're introducing you to some of our neighbors. We hope you leave the party with a new perspective and appreciation of the people you've met, hopefully with some new friends. Why did you phrase it that way? It's a marvelous way to put it. What was your thinking when you guys put that line in the book?
As a storyteller and a writer, I believe in the power of words and power of stories and sharing stories, and their stories needed to be told. The sooner we get to know our new neighbors and help them settle in and do the integration successfully, it's good for all of us.
Reza, the way this story always works is when immigrants come to a new place, that place shapes them, Maine shapes them, but they also have an impact on Maine. What do you think in this era, what kind of impact are immigrants having in shaping the future of Maine?
It's a graying estate. So I think the biggest impact these days is that joining the workforce in larger numbers, and because of the age and the fact that they're raising their families, young families here in Maine, it's all good news for us. And I would argue and urge our readers to really come to this book with an open heart and open mind and learn about our new neighbors and see how they're changing, transforming Maine in a positive way.